You got Leon D here, and we're going to talk about food. I'm not an expert on anything to do with food, but I've been around a long time, and I am a professional barbecuologist. I know food. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know a lot of things that you may not like. That's the intro for Leon D. Let's get it on. Yep, you got Leon D. We're back at Showbiz. Let's talk about a couple things. Let's get right to it. Like I said earlier, we're not experts at anything, but we have a lot of life experiences, and we're willing to share them with you so you don't go wrong in your life experiences. Now, as I travel the country, people ask me all the time, what kind of regional foods do you like when you travel the country? Regional foods. Foods is only served in those areas. Now, people try and serve them in other parts of the country. It just don't work out too good. Okay, we're going to start with the South because they got a lot of good food in the South. And the South is big. I'm talking about from Key West all the way to Texas. One of the foods I like a lot, I like shrimp and grits. But I like basic shrimp and basic grits. I don't need a whole lot of other stuff. The Indians did grits right. So let's just stick with shrimp and grits. One of the other things I like a lot too is that I like ambrosia. Ambrosia is I seen in Georgia and in the Carolinas. Like shrimp and grits is big in the Carolinas. But it's just a fruit salad. And then you go to one of my favorite desserts. I'm not a big fan of bananas, but I do like banana pudding. I like banana pudding, so that's a good dessert, with the with vanilla wafers or wafers, as you may want to call them, and a little pudding and some bananas in it, and a meringue topping. One of the other things that's real, real big is biscuits and gravy. Now that's a classic in the South, biscuits and gravies. And I like take some pork grease, from the sausages and put it over some biscuits with a little gravy added to it. One thing that's real big that I was never really big on, but I'm beginning to like it because it's cooked differently. That's Brunswick stew. Now, originally Brunswick stew was it was big in Virginia and big in Florida, and it used to be game meat. Rabbit, squirrel, bear, you name it, anything that's out in the wild. Wild game. But now people use stuff like chicken and pork, and the pork is generally smoked. So I'm beginning to like it, and I've also had it with beef. Yes, I've had it with beef. So if you like beef a lot, try it with some Brunswick stew. Now, one of my favorite things to eat down south is you know, I like I'm I like bread, but I don't have to have bread with every meal. But you get some buttermilk biscuits, and you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. One of the things that I've seen people eat down south that I really do like it, maybe because it's got butter and eggs in it. It's chess pie. I've seen chess pie a couple different ways, and that's an old English name for English lemon curd pie. Yeah, that's an old name, but I think in the South they do it a little bit better than they do it in England, and I've had it in England. You know, One of the other things that people like a lot down south, and I'm just not big on dumplings, but I do like it when I got chicken and dumplings. But I'm not a dumpling fan. It's just a bunch of dough to me. I'm not big on it. Now, one thing that I've only seen in the South, I've not seen it anywhere else, and I've seen it in South Carolina, and I've had it a lot, and actually, I like it. It's called chow chow. I do like that. It's just a pickle vegetable dish, you know, but I do like it. And when I was in South Carolina, they had it in quite a few places. Now, here go a staple of the South, and I like this. And actually, I cook it myself, but I do like it. It's called collard greens. That's an old food. The slaves made it. A lot of people ate this. Some people say, "Oh yeah, well, you got kale." Kale, I like kale too. Don't get me wrong, but it seems like when a few people up north got a hold of kale and collard greens, they jacked the price up. Kale and collard greens, like Brussels sprouts and broccoli and cabbage, those are cheap, things to cook and buy. But you go to some of these high class restaurants, and you won't believe what they charge for you to get collard greens. Now, people say that kale and collard greens are the same. No, kale, collard greens, Brussels sprouts, and broccoli and cabbage are from the same family, but they have a different texture and they taste different if you can cook. I think out of all 5 of those or 6 of those, collard greens and cabbage and kale are the top 3. Brussels sprouts and broccoli, if I never really had them again, I wouldn't miss them. That's something you give your kids, or you eat the collard greens. Now, you get collard greens, it goes real good with cornbread. Cornbread is, baking soda, lard, bacon drippings, buttermilk. You add some butter or you add some white flour to it. You got some cornbread, especially with buttermilk. You add that with collard greens, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. Now, people tend to like collard greens, but collard greens is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. If you do it right and get rid of the stems, it's a lot of work. Some people think it's kind of like brisket. Everybody loves brisket, but nobody wants to do the work to prep and cook a brisket. Everybody think that brisket just shows up cooked. No. It don't jump off the cow, just cooked. No, you gotta do some work. You gotta do some trimming. If you don't trim your brisket, I guarantee you right now, you're feeding some people a lot of fat. Well, collard greens the same way. If you don't get rid of the stem, a third of your collard greens are gonna be stems. And collard greens shrink. So if you want 2 pounds, you better start with 6 pounds of them, because they are going to shrink. But I'm gonna give you a little secret though, and I don't tell everybody this. A lot of people put collard greens in water. No. Try them in broth with some ham hocks or neck bones, or even bacon. You get a whole different taste. Now, the people on the West Coast, if you want to be all healthy and all that, go eat your kale and your broccoli. Because kale, they'll charge you a lot for it, and broccoli to me is just not good in general, but I'll eat it because sometimes the broccoli is the best vegetable to go with a lot of meals. But I don't want it in my salad. Now, one thing that's very, very good is I like country ham with red eye gravy. Yeah, I had that a few times, and I'm sold on it. I'm sold on that. I'm sold on that. You get some country ham and some gravy, especially red eye gravy. And the red eye gravy, I had that all through Georgia. And country ham, you can get that out of Virginia. Virginia got some of the best hams in the world. Not just Smithfield. You got a lot of other brands out there. Now, here's one thing that I'm real picky about. Deviled eggs. Yeah, I'm real picky about deviled eggs. Now, I actually like deviled eggs if they're cooked correctly. And you take the hard-boiled eggs with the yolk removed, and you mix it with mayonnaise and whatever seasoning that you may like. And then you stuff them back. You stuff the yolk back into the half whites. Now, I'm going to tell you, a lot of people use mustard, and nothing wrong with that. As part of the seasoning, I like that too. But when people remove the yolk, sometimes that touches their hand. I've seen a lot of people remove yolk with their hand. Man, you got spoons and you got knives and you got everything in the world. You don't have to use your fingernail. But I've seen people do it, and they want to know why I don't want to eat their deviled eggs. And I actually like deviled eggs. And, now I like mine a little bit warmer than most, but I'll eat them cold as well. I actually like deviled eggs. Now, one thing that's real big in the South, that no matter who you are, you're going to get used to it, because it's a Southern dish, and it came from Africa. And it is what it is. That is fried chicken. Slaves brought fried chicken over here. They showed people how you can cook fried chicken. I've had fried chicken all over the world. But I'm going to tell you, ain't nothing like fried chicken in the South. If someone tells you that fried chicken in the South is good, You better believe it. And then a lot of people on the West Coast, I've been to Roscoe Waffle House and a lot of other places. Fried chicken used to be like a $2 meal. Now they're charging $25 for fried chicken. They say, "Oh, we give you a waffle." Do you know that a waffle only costs you about 11 cents to make a waffle? So I don't understand the big rave over chicken and waffles. Chicken is cheap, and so is waffles. You can go buy chicken breast, or you can buy quarters for like 30 cents a pound. You buy quarters. So people tell you all this, but believe me, good fried chicken. It's a place called Church's Chicken. They give you the biggest pieces of chicken in the world. They're in the South. They may have some out in the Midwest by now, but they give you the world's biggest pieces of chicken. Now, it's all batter. You ain't gonna get a lot of meat. Anybody can add batter and batter and batter and make anything look bigger. But people go for it all the time. Now, one dish that I like a lot, and they don't sell it up in the Northeast very often. When they do, it's not made right unless you found somebody who immigrated from the South. That's fried green tomatoes. I've had it with bacon. I've had a BLT one time when I was in North Carolina, and the BLT was fried green tomatoes with lettuce, tomatoes, and it had some bacon. I mean, a bacon, lettuce, and tomato. And they fried the tomatoes. You ain't going, and they added some cheese to it. You ain't gonna find that nowhere around here. You ain't gonna find that in 99% of America. But it was worth the money. It was worth the drive. Now, one thing that's big in the South too, but people don't call it by the right name. It's called Hopping John. Hopping John is when you add rice and black eyed peas and pork. It can be bacon, ham hock, or salty pork. That's a traditional New Year's Day dish in the South. That is traditional New Year's Day dish in the South. Everybody I know when I go down south, they have that. Even the people that move from the South to up here. It's not big up north because, people aren't into peas and beans as vegetables. And I am, but I like black eyed peas with bacon, a ham hock, or some kind of pork in it. It's just, and in my family, we have it every New Year's. I can't remember New Year's without that, but every New Year's. Now, here's something that I do not like, but I'll eat it, and I've had it covered different ways. Hush puppies. Yeah, people down south, hush puppies to me is just flour and grease. But I had some recently, and the guy added bacon bits to it in the flour. So when he fried it, it came out with the little bacon bits on it. I've had where people have embedded cheese in the middle and charge you a lot of money for it because dough and grease is not expensive. So, if you want to try those kind of things out, I always thought that hush puppies was like carnival food. No, it's not. It's not like carnival food. Well, actually, it is a carnival food now I think about it because anything to do with frying stuff is carnival stuff. Now, a lot of people like pate. In the South, they eat pate, but they call it pimento cheese. It's the pate of the South, pimento cheese. I tried it. It's all right. I'm never going to have it on top of my list of things I want to eat or order, but I do like it. It doesn't taste bad at all. Now, here's, I was talking about desserts earlier, and, we were talking about desserts and what I like and don't like about certain desserts. But the number one dessert in the South, I'm going to tell you all about it. Sweet potato pie. You can take your apples. You can take your pumpkin, which I hate pumpkin pie. Because if your pumpkin pie is the same as your sweet potato pie, it's one or two things gone wrong. You either had some bad sweet potato pie or you had some fabulous pumpkin pie. But they ain't the same. They don't taste the same. And, whites prefer pumpkin pie over sweet potato pie. Blacks prefer sweet potato pie over pumpkin pie. It's a huge difference in the way you can prep them almost the same, but it's a huge difference in how they taste. If you try some of my mom's sweet potato pie, you will forget all about pumpkin pie. You won't even know it ever existed. Up north, they like pumpkin pie. In the south, they like sweet potato pie. And out in California, you know, they eat all kind of other type stuff. The healthier stuff. Now, I'm gonna tell you the number one thing that I like about the South. That I like to eat when I go down south. The number one thing I like to eat. Now, I'm not including barbecue. So these are home cooked in your oven on your stove type meals. These are not smoked food, no barbecue. You know, because you got a lot. Because when it comes to those categories, that's a different level. But now, the number one thing that I like when I go down south from someone's house, from a restaurant, to me, there's nothing better than smothered pork chops. People say, "Oh, that's all right." Hell no. You fry it in some bacon grease, and then you smother it in some gravy. You can smother it in a couple things. I've had it smothered in gravy. I've had it smothered in tomato paste or tomato sauce. I've had it smothered a couple different ways. But give me some great brown gravy. Give me some potatoes or some rice on the side. And when I say potatoes, I mean mashed. I'm not talking about a big old hard boiled, potato. I want mashed. Give me some green beans or some even black eyed peas. But what I really like is you know, ice peas or something simple like that. You know, but there's nothing that I've had down south that's better than great smothered pork chops. That's just the way it is. When I go to my aunt's house and I show up, she know what I want to eat. She know that I want some smothered pork chops. Now, people bake pork chops, they fry pork chops, which smother is part of frying. Actually, smother is the next stage after frying. But you just, you can even add some bread to it. I'm not a big bread fan unless it's something like cornbread and buttermilk, or this is a biscuit, and I don't mean a canned biscuit. I like homemade biscuits, but you add that with some smothered pork chops, man, that's the kind of food that puts you to sleep. So next week, we're gonna travel up to the Northeast and see what they eat. But you heard from an expert on eating food in the South, and I've eaten in every single state in the South outside of Arkansas, and I can't imagine the only thing Arkansas have that I haven't tried yet, but I'm gonna try one day. They eat pork cheeks. Yeah, they eat pork cheeks, which some people call it jowl. I've been curious about trying that, but I'm not sure how this is gonna turn out. But we're gonna cook it. It's Showbiz Eats. We're gonna cook it, and we're gonna let you know how it turns out. Matter of fact, we're gonna cook something this weekend. It's something new to me, but people ask for it, and now not a lot of people. One weirdo. Everybody got one of those on Facebook, but people ask, and so I'm gonna get with my partner, and we're gonna do this. But at the end of the day, if I was on death row, they say, "What do you want?" and I was in the South, I want smothered pork chops. Yeah, I can just see that. Matter of fact, I might have some of those in the next couple of days. So this is Showbiz Eats. This is another rendezvous with me about what food we like when we go down south. What are the most popular foods in the South? And these foods I just mentioned, you can find those almost anywhere in the South. Well, they don't really have diners, but any mom and pop restaurant is going to have those for sale. Showbiz Eat out. Talk to you next time.